meeting back to order. I would like to call on Trustee Sipcar to read the land acknowledgement, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We acknowledge that we are on land and surrounded by water, originally inhabited by Indigenous peoples who have traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the Wampum Treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenni Lenape, and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Three Fires Confederacy, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and Potawatomi, and Huron-Wendat peoples. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people.
Thank you, Trustee Sipcar. And I would ask the room to please stand for special orders of the day.
A tribute to Michaela Kamika, a former student from Tecumseh Vista Academy Secondary. Michaela was a testament of resilience, strength, and bravery. She had a lifelong courageous battle with MPS type 3B, also known as Sanfilippo syndrome. Michaela beat the odds and lived much longer than was expected, but left us much too soon. Her family is forever grateful to the help and support from the team, a worldwide support organization of Teen Sanfilippo, as well as extended family, friends, and the community in support of hope for Michaela. Early in her life, Michaela was very busy playing with her friends, running, singing, doing crafts, drawing, and coloring. She enjoyed music, watching cartoons. In her teens, she continued to enjoy listening to different types of music, arts, crafts, and going for walks, and spending time with family and friends and her peers. Michaela was well loved by everybody and will always be fondly remembered. Anybody who met her was touched by her pure spirit and her gentle soul. She was so sweet and quiet, but had a huge presence in the classroom and the hallways of the school. We'll miss her loving, gentle pats on her head and holding her hand on walks. We're so grateful to have met Michaela and been part of her life. Please join me in a short moment of silence. A tribute to Ben Malage. Ben was a grade 8 student at Anderton Public School. Ben enjoyed playing hockey, video games, and hanging out with all of his bros at the Amherstburg Arena or online. He was kind, caring, helpful, and always had thought of others. It was because of his loving and his giving spirit that Ben was able to help others by providing the gift of life through organ donation. For this, Ben will always be a hero. Ben made a lasting impact on the school community at Anderton. He was part of the marching band and the leadership team. He volunteered at the Anderton daycare throughout the summer, supporting and helping younger children. Ben exemplified the true meaning of being a Mustang. He was kind, caring, and compassionate to everyone. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Houston. And our sincere sympathy from the trustees go out to the families of these students. Thank you. Before I continue, I'd like to remind the trustees that we approved the agenda. There is an addendum. There's one, J1. And just heads up that under the speakers list, there are 4 people signed up. Okay, so now we'll continue with item E, declaration of conflict of interest. Do we have any for this meeting? Seeing none. Actions of the board meeting in private session. Trustee Nelson.
Yes, item D1. Could I have a mover? Trustee McKinley, supported by Trustee Cook, all in support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes from the September 17th meeting. Trustee Sipcar, Trustee Cook. Any questions? All those in support? That's carried. Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Did we lose our student trustees?
Oh, nobody told them to come back. Thank you when they left. Nobody told them we were starting back out here.
Okay. Sorry, we've just temporarily misplaced our student trustees.
Point of clarification, when we did the private actions, we did D. Was there not an E?
F1, wasn't it?
Maybe
What
I
was it?
misunderstood.
It's just reports.
No, there was one item. There was one
Yeah,
item.
she's
F1. Yeah, got it.
She got it.
Here they are.
It's okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
I just need to check that you don't have any declaration of conflict of interest for this meeting. No. Okay. Then we're ready for the student presentations.
Good evening, trustees, Director Houston, senior administration, and members of the public. Happy October! On September 30th, Canada commemorates the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Our secondary schools have initiated truth and reconciliation events, such as feather writing, flag raising, sharing stories and facts, and creating informational posters. At Leamington District Secondary School, local Indigenous leaders led the school on a community walk. Now, as the autumn season continues to develop into wonderful amber colors, student councils across the board are organizing fantastic events filled with spirit. Many schools have started running fall social events, pumpkin carving activities, and Halloween bake sales. In addition, senior sunrises have continued for our soon-to-depart seniors, but very near and dear. Schools have also begun important fundraising events in the fight against cancer, such as Terry Fox runs, Pink Out Day, and pep rallies. Now, our monthly Student Senate meeting was hosted by Essex District High School. We practice activities for our upcoming Student Leadership Conference to better understand their practicality and strengthen their impact on student leaders. We are happy to announce that our roster of activities is confirmed and effective. The Student Leadership Conference Committee has been diligently meeting to ensure that this event is valuable and an informative experience for student leaders. We are currently preparing a handbook for activities for the conference and for student councils for their use. I will also be hosting a public speaking seminar for our student speakers. In addition, I've asked senators to complete a survey on their vision for Student Senate. This will be used to understand priorities as we move to specialize in certain areas of interest in the coming months. As my vision is to build a stronger community at the secondary level, Kira and I look forward to fostering a community of students driven to create positive change. Kira and I have also begun school visits to promote our role as student trustees, encourage student voice engagement in their school communities, and to ease the grade 8 to grade 9 transition. Kira has visited various elementary and secondary schools in the county, while I assist with those in the city. We would like to thank Michelle McCruz and our principals for welcoming Kira and I into the schools.
The student of the month for October is Sabika Hader. Also, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. A grade 12 student at Riverside Secondary School. Sabika is an excellent role model for the theme Passion for Learning. Her impressive academic record, engagement in extracurricular activities, and her school leadership demonstrates Sabika's passion for learning and her Stinger community. Sabika's academic pursuits are quite varied. She maintained a 98% average last year while excelling in the international program. She has participated in the Science Olympiad since grade 10, buzzing with excitement over all things STEM. She has taken every opportunity to write the math contest offered since grade 9, and she is also a tutor with Riverside's Homework Help program. Sabika's passion extends to many extracurricular activities. She played a major role in organizing Riverside's Stem Cell Drive, a potential life-saving initiative to raise awareness and give students the opportunity to register as stem cell donors. She is a member of the art club, the badminton team, the minority mentorship program, and she is a specialist high skills major ambassador for environmental studies. Sabika's passion for learning embodied that it means to be a Riverside Stinger, always ready to learn, lead, and make a positive impact. Congratulations, Sabika, for being selected by Student Senate as the Student of the Month for October for Passion for Learning.
Thank you. We're now at item J1 of a delegation, Tina Chittle, speaking on agenda item L2. Ms. Chittle? Thank you. You have 10 minutes. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I am committed to upholding the Ontario Human Rights Code throughout my speech. Therefore, please take my words as generously as possible in the spirit that they are intended. I will be happy to provide clarification at the conclusion of my speech. My name is Tina Chittle. As a parent and concerned community member in the Greater Essex County District, I stand against racism and intolerance in all its forms. Racism is nothing new, but it does get repackaged, change form, and evolve. The board must be vigilant in recognizing racism's and other isms' mutations so that it does not fail to stand against them. I trust that we mainly agree with each other on the subject of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Any disagreement I may have with the policy or regulation would be limited to the means used to reach our common goals. I invite you, Madam Chair, to join me in applying a pro-human lens that promotes the foundational truth that every person is a unique individual, that we are all united by our shared humanity, and to commit to fostering diversity without division, to create a better life for everyone. There is a philosophy that divides humanity into groups of oppressed and oppressors. It assigns the task of transformative activism or revolution to the group of the oppressed to overthrow the group of oppressors. Historically, the philosophy divided humanity between the aristocracy and the proletariat. At other times and places, humanity was divided into two economic classes, which later morphed into ethnic groupings. Still more recently, Humanity was grouped into oppressor and oppressed along the lines of tribal or racial ethnicity. For example, in 1990s Rwanda, when the Hutus were divided from the Tutsis. In each of these cases, the education system played a central role in applying this division in the classroom and the greater community. In each of these cases, school administrators made deadly mistakes. It is said that we all have a responsibility to learn history so that it doesn't repeat itself. The truth is that history does not repeat itself. It rhymes. History cannot repeat itself. It needs willing actors. I think you will agree with me, Madam Chair, that this board wants to avoid making the same mistakes as the education systems of 1930s Germany, 1960s China, and 1990s Rwanda. In the last few weeks, the Toronto District School Board allegedly saw fit to ask students labeled as settlers to wear a blue T-shirt to a political rally. This rhymes with the wearing of a yellow star. How did the Toronto District School Board descend to such an overtly discriminatory request when they have been required, just as the Greater Essex County District School Board is required, to develop a multi-year plan to mitigate against all forms of discrimination? I propose, Madam Chair, that one root problem can be found on page 24 of today's agenda, where we find the words "and outcomes" in the first paragraph. I propose to you that it be changed to "and opportunities" so that it doesn't rhyme so well with the divisive philosophy I have described. The concept of equitable outcomes is diametrically opposed to the concept of diversity. As long as we have a diverse student population, which we always will have, since each human being is entirely unique, there will always be diverse outcomes. It is an unrealistic goal to have equal outcomes, the pursuit of which has too often led to human suffering. The concept of equity of opportunity, however, is a realistic and commendable goal that, as far as I am aware, has never propelled a society toward conflict. I am against racism and oppression in all its forms. I regret any negative impacts of colonialism on Indigenous populations and am committed to genuine reconciliation. With that in mind, the terms anti-colonial and anti-oppressive, I believe, should be removed from the paragraph to avoid identifiable groups of students from being labeled and vilified as colonizers or colonialists on the basis of an immutable characteristic they have no control over. Then the policy would not rhyme so well with the policies that resulted in Red August or the Holocaust. Grouping students and the community at large into oppressed and oppressor groups goes against the commonly understood benefits of Carol Dweck's growth mindset versus fixed mindset. If a student is told they are de facto an oppressed person because they belong to an oppressed group, their access to a worldview open to opportunity is limited. This does not serve them in their learning objectives. I would like to ask why the board would remove the words "the democratic values of fairness" and ask why the board is no longer committed to such a worthy concept. I would also like to know, Madam Chair, what the board means when it says on page 25 that equity does not mean treating people the same without regard for individual differences. I would like to know if, in practice, the board intends to have different standards of learning or behavior for pupils based on their race. I would remind you, Madam Chair, that the hallmark of the equity and inclusive education in Ontario schools Guidelines for Policy and Development and Implementation, Realizing the Promise of Diversity, published in 2014, listed on page 24, is high learning expectations for every learner. I challenge you, Madam Chair, to ask whether the policy and regulation in its current form introduces or reinforces incentives for school staff and administrators to apply disciplinary measures unequally in the name of equity, resulting in a hostile work and learning environment. I would argue that separate systems of justice, depending on group identity, may be the reason other boards report increasing incidents of violence. I posit that it could be the reason that a record number of teachers need to take sick leave. The London Free Press reported in February of this year that the Thames Valley District School Board's $18.5 million deficit is due in large part to increased sick leave for the mental health issues of teachers. It is a problem being reported across the province, I understand, despite all school boards implementing similar regulations and policies to the one we are now discussing that you will be voting on later today. I would like this board to define what it means by oppressive ideology. The public has a right to know exactly which ideologies the board is committed to dismantling. I bring to the board's attention tonight, Madam Chair, the use of the term social-emotional outcomes. The board has a duty and responsibility to understand the terms that it is applying in this policy and how they were developed and to what end. Socio-emotional learning is a tool used to perform psychology on groups of children in an uncontrolled classroom setting by non-professionals. It is a form of emotional manipulation of children. It was inspired by Marxist revolutionists such as Paulo Freire and Henry Giroux. It rhymes with the menticide used by the education systems in 1930s Germany, 1960s China, and 1990s Rwanda.
Ms. Chittle,
Yes?
39 seconds.
Thank you. Does the board have a full understanding of what it means when it uses this term, and is the use of this term intentional in order to raise the critical consciousness of students?
Thank you very much for your presentation.
For any
Yes.
clarification.
Are there any questions for clarification? No? Did you provide a copy of your presentation?
I did
Yes.
to the office
Yep.
of the director, yes.
Yep, good. Thank you very much.
Along with a sample DEI policy that actually applies a pro-human lens, and along with UNESCO's report published in 2011 about the role of the education system in the Rwandan genocide, as well as some sample curriculum for some pro-human, through a pro-human lens. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have 4 people on the speakers list. The first 2 aren't strangers to this room, Beth St. Dennis and Jay Palco. But before I call you up, I just have a few things that I'd like to say from my perspective as a chair. And this would be addressed to Ms. St. Dennis and Mr. Palco, that over the past 2 years, neither of you have identified yourself as a parent, a guardian, or even a grandparent of students enrolled in our school board. You have also not identified yourself as public school ratepayers. I'm not convinced that you come to speak in any of those capacities as an individual, but rather as an executive member of an organized group that publicly denounces the public education system. We've listened to your opinions many, many times, and you have at times been very disrespectful and purposely disruptive of our board meetings. You do have the opportunity to speak again tonight, but I will tell you now that there will be zero tolerance to any remarks that are deemed by me to be inappropriate or offensive to this group of trustees. So with that, I would call Ms. St. Dennis, who'd like to come and speak as, she said, as an individual, talking about fostering an environment of respect. Ms. St. Dennis? And you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beth St. Dennis. The Greater Essex County District School Board highly encourages individuals to be their true self and express their identity. I would like to start tonight by clearly defining my identity. Being able to openly express my identity to the trustees helps me to feel accepted and valued as a member of the community. I identify as the following: Christian. The word Christian means a follower of Christ. A true Christian is a person who has put their faith and trust in the person and work of Jesus Christ, including his death and his resurrection on the third day. A true Christian is indeed a child of God, a part of God's true family, and one who has been given life in Jesus. I also identify as a woman. A woman is defined in Christian values as an adult human female. Women produce, women build, and women create. In Genesis 1:27, it states, God created mankind in his image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. I am here tonight to speak on fostering an environment of respect from an individual's point of view. The word respect comes from the Latin word respectus, meaning attention, regard, or consideration. Here are some other definitions of respect. From the Cambridge Dictionary: admiration felt or shown for someone or something that you believe has good ideas or qualities. From the American Heritage Dictionary: to feel or show regard for, esteem, or admire. Here are some synonyms of the word respect: appreciation, awe, dignity, favor, honor, and reverence. Respect is something that each individual desires, whether you are a parent, a student, a citizen, or a trustee. Respect can help the individual to flourish, prosper, and helps a person feel validated. A form of respect is the ability to value and honor another individual even if you do not approve or agree with their opinion. Having a difference of opinion is healthy. It makes us each unique and gives us each a different perspective. If every individual is to be treated equally, then respect has to be in the forefront of an individual's conduct. Respect lies the foundation for a safe environment. It allows the individual to be able to express themselves without fear of being judged, humiliated, or discriminated against. It is safe to say that each one of us at some point in our lives has disrespected another person, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Anger, judgment, ignorance, and prejudice are some ways that an individual can feel disrespected. Here are some tips for each individual here this evening on how we can all conduct ourselves with respect in all areas of life. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Do not use insults or negative labels. Stay calm. Do not shout at individuals. Use eye contact and a smile. Have a spirit of openness, courtesy, and cooperation with the person you are speaking to. When expressing individual views, remain respectful of the differing opinions of other individuals. Apologize when you are wrong. Take responsibility for your words and actions. Offer humbleness and repentance when you have offended. It is imperative to point out how vitally important fostering an environment of respect is, especially in the public square. I would like to communicate these attributes of respect not only to the gallery, but to the trustees. I'm sure there have been situations where the trustees feel that they have not been treated with respect. Whether the trustees agree or not, many individuals feel, myself included, that there have been times where individual trustees have not treated members of the public with respect. Respect has to be earned, individual to individual. Under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms 2B, every individual has the right of freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression. Showing respect to each person we come across will honor each individual's rights and freedoms. My hope for tonight is that each individual trustee will listen very carefully to my words. I am hopeful that the words will resonate within each of the trustees' souls. I pray that going forward, the parents, students, and citizens of Windsor-Essex will see a dramatic shift in behavior and that this board will openly demonstrate a heartfelt posture of respect for every individual that makes a presentation before them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the trustees for clarification? Seeing none, Mr. Palco, speaking tonight on the speakers list, the topic of the speakers list. And you have 5 minutes, sir.
If I may address your comment, just to clarify, I have said that I'm a parent, a father. I'm also a Sunday school teacher, and since we're laying it out there, I'm also a white Christian male. But yeah, I have said this in the past. I have clarified who I am, and I am also part of the Ontario public that you're accountable to. But on that, I can go ahead and start. Good evening, Madam Chair, trustees, administration, all in the gallery and online. My name is Jeremy Pellico. I'm speaking on the famous or infamous speakers list and the motion for it to be removed immediately. Arguments to do so seem related to safety, Ontario Human Rights Code, disruption. Regarding safety, I challenge this board to give examples of not being safe in this boardroom due to a speaker on the speakers list. Speakers consistently stay behind the podium wherever it's placed. Challenging policies and positions may risk negative feelings and emotions, but this doesn't justify adding security or police. That's a red herring ad hominem fallacy. Playing victim with false dilemmas is merely to subvert the authority of your constituents over you as public officials accountable to the Ontario public, who you attacked with misleading generalizations. School systems and boards exist for the education and ideally the enrichment of young minds. Hearing what parents and all concerned have to say on behalf of kids who cannot consent isn't nice to have. It's a necessity. Unfortunately, with extreme irony and vitriol, this is not reflected in this motion. You are to gain our confidence, not kick it to the curb. Many consider this the most important part of the Education Act. Section 169(1), Parts 5A, B, C, the keywords are resources and trust, public, and confidence. These all pertain to the Ontario public, of course, your constituents. Removing the speakers list disregards the core essence of the Education Act this board refers to and is beholding to, and that its governance bylaw is based on. Regarding human rights, these refer to protected groups, not differing thoughts, opinions, and positions, including those focused on the best interests of children. Mentioning parts of the curriculum isn't a violation of human rights. It may be merely to expose what is clearly not working as evidenced by enrollment trends and the state of your budget. Commenting on human rights should not be done to weaponize the Ontario Human Rights Code. That is not its intent, as clearly stated in the preamble. Having as its aim the creation of a climate of understanding and mutual respect for the dignity and worth of each person so that each person feels a part of the community and able to contribute fully to the development of and well-being of the community and the province. The Code Guide further clarifies Section 13 of the Code is not intended to interfere with freedom of expression. Newspaper opinions and editorials, for example, are protected under freedom of expression. While some forms of expression may seem distasteful and offensive, this is not discrimination under the Code. Regarding disruption, the woke agenda with all its virtue signaling takes away from focusing on reading, writing, and arithmetic. Faith-based teaching should be left to independent schools and churches. What you may consider disruption is our persistence on behalf of the kids and parents, and our faith demands a response in defense of the vulnerable. The need to listen and not disregard constituents and trustees has actually been boldly expressed within this board. I read from a CBC article April 2nd. A Greater Essex County District School Board member says she's reconsidering her future as a trustee after a disgrace in the renaming of Kingsville's K-12 school Tuesday night. The trustee left the special meeting of the board after a motion to amend the name of the new school to Erie Migration District School, removing the word academy from the name. I'm extremely disappointed, the trustee said. I'm extremely frustrated, and I think this whole thing was a terrible mess. What they did tonight was shut everybody up. They didn't want trustees to talk. They didn't want to hear anything from anybody in the community. All they want to do is shove it through, and that's what they did, and it was wrong. It's wrong to the trustees, and more than that, it's wrong to the community.
Speakers list, what a trustee said or didn't say doesn't have anything to do with the speakers
It actually
list.
does, because
No.
we couldn't agree more. This meeting was about 10 minutes long, and the committee chair allowed only her opinion, no discussion, then the vote was taken. Those affected have voiced their displeasure, to put it mildly, and rightfully so. In your discussion tonight on the speakers list, removal of motion, please be truthful and specific in any allegations to safety, Ontario Human Rights Code, and or disruption. Remaining hell-bent on canceling the speakers list would only further seal a reputation as educrats and or being in service to those who place politics over people, even our precious children and their innocence. There's a much better solution. Change your ways. Keep the speakers list and partner with the constituents you work for to get out of the gutter. Otherwise, parents, Please take your kids and run for their lives from the self-destructing public school board and system. May God bless us all, especially the children.
Thank you. Any question? Trustee Buckler?
Question for clarification. You have, yes, before stated that you're a father and a pastor. Of this board, of a child attending school in this board, are you a public school supporter? Do your taxes go to this board?
Pardon me?
Do your taxes go to this board? Are you a public school supporter? And are your children enrolled in our schools?
Not currently, no.
Thank you. That's what we asked you.
But I am a part of the Ontario public that you're accountable to. That's all you need to know.
Thank you. We're moving
I
on.
miss Trustee Leclerc, by the way.
We're moving on to Sabrina Kelly. Sabrina is coming to speak words of gratitude for implementation of inclusive policies for 2S LGBTQ1A IA plus students. Sabrina? And you have 5 minutes. You might want to lower the mic a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina. Thank you. And my pronouns are she, her. I'm here today to personally express gratitude to the Greater Essex County District School Board, the Director of Education, Mrs. Vicki Houston, the superintendents, and the Board of Trustees for their continued efforts to make their schools and places of work safe and inclusive spaces for all students, staff, families, and community members. These efforts, which have included the implementation of gender and sexuality alliances, GSAs, at each school, raising the pride flag each June, teaching about 2S LGBTQ plus identities and well-being, and through validating each student's truth and respecting their autonomy, the school board continues to make an overwhelmingly positive difference in the lives of 2S LGBTQ plus students and staff members. As a former student of the Greater Essex County District School Board, I have seen firsthand exactly how essential these policies are. I am deeply grateful that the school board's policies of inclusion and acceptance were in place to protect my many 2S LGBTQ plus friends and family members. Thanks to these protections, those I love saw themselves represented in their classrooms and libraries, were able to use facilities that best aligned with them, and were able to protect themselves from queer-phobic family members and reveal their identities on their own terms. Importantly, these measures kept those I love safe and fostered their well-being while navigating the vast challenges of adolescence and often facing hate and queerphobia outside of school. The school boards that lack these essential policies, or in school boards that lack these essential policies, 2S LGBTQ plus students and staff can be in much more dire places. Statistics Canada reports that over 3/4 of 2S LGBTQ plus students have experienced queerphobic bullying at schools. Alarmingly, the National Resource Centre for Domestic Violence reports that 92% of trans youth report hearing transphobic comments in their school environments, and that 79% of these youth report hearing such remarks from staff members. Studies, such as those by EGAL and the National Institute of Health, consistently demonstrate that students report much higher feelings of safety in schools where 2S LGBTQ plus inclusive policies are actively reinforced. Further, the rates of bullying related to gender and sexuality fall drastically in such environments. The impacts of the absence of inclusive policies and comprehensive sexuality education are distinctly negative, not only for 2S LGBTQ plus folks, but all students and staff. The Journal for Adolescent Health finds that comprehensive inclusive sexual education and environments was 5 times more likely to correlate with a reduced prevalence of sexually transmitted infections and unplanned pregnancy in the youth who received this education than amongst youth who did not receive inclusive and comprehensive sex education. Further, the National Institute of Health finds that children who receive comprehensive sexual education are drastically less likely to be targeted by child predators and are better able to accurately navigate and describe abuse, reducing the cost of justice for both the taxpayer and the victim. All of this to say, the facts consistently prove that 2S LGBTQ+ children, as well as all students, benefit substantially from the presence of inclusive policies. These policies ensure feelings of safety for all students from bullying or assault, while recognizing their inherent right to know and express their authentic selves without fear. We know that the school board's commitment to upholding the freedom and safety of its many 2S LGBTQ+ students and staff, despite ongoing attacks from an opposition that purports to care about these children, is what is truly making material improvements in the well-being of these students. I speak for many who are present in support today when I say that we are grateful to the GEC DSB's continued dedication to this necessary work, and we very much look forward to seeing the school board continually commit itself to the well-being of its entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Kelly? No. Thank you for coming. Thank you. The next speaker is Samantha Brown, speaking on school sports. Ms. Brown, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Brown. I am the mother of a 13-year-old female athlete who attends Greater Essex County District School Board school. I'm here to speak on behalf of her and of all the young girls who trained day in and day out to hone their skills. I'm aiming to show this board that some of the policies put in place with the intention of inclusion have the exact opposite effect and can at times be dangerous. Reem Al-Salem, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls, recently presented a report to the General Assembly on violence against women and girls in sports. I'd like to read some excerpts from this report to highlight the importance of this school board instituting clear policies on safety and fairness in sports for girls. In her section on physical violence, she states, female athletes are more vulnerable to sustaining serious physical injuries when female-only sports spaces are open to males, as documented in disciplines such as volleyball, basketball, and soccer. Injuries have included knocked out teeth, concussions resulting in neural impairment, broken legs, and skull fractures. Speaking on inclusion, Ms. Al-Salem wrote about exclusion. The inclusion of male athletes in the female sport category and related spaces may also lead to self-exclusion, in particular due to fears of physical injuries or due to specific religious beliefs that prohibit females from accessing mixed-sex spaces. Her section on opportunity for fair and safe competition states, the replacement of the female sports category with a mixed-sex category has resulted in an increasing number of female athletes losing opportunities, including medals, when competing against males. According to information received by the 30th of March 2024, over 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost more than 890 medals in 29 different sports. Male athletes have specific attributes considered advantageous in certain sports, such as strength and testosterone levels that are higher than those of the average range for females, even before puberty, thereby resulting in the loss of fair opportunity. To avoid the loss of fair opportunity, males must not compete in the female categories of sport. From her section on psychological violence. The knowledge of female athletes that they may be competing against males included in female sports causes extreme psychological distress due to the physical disadvantage, the loss of opportunity for fair competition, and of education and economic opportunities, and the violation of their privacy in locker rooms and other intimate spaces. Ms. Al-Salem closed by stating, multiple studies offer evidence that athletes born male have proven performance advantages in sport throughout their lives, although this is most apparent after puberty. Historically, the sex difference in performance is larger than that explained by physiological and anatomical differences between males and females, in particular among low-ranked athletes. These physiological advantages are not undone by testosterone suppression. Undermining the eligibility criteria for single-sex sports results in unfair, unlawful, and extreme forms of discrimination against female athletes on the basis of their sex. The UN has special rapporteurs for a reason. They're meant to hold inquiries into violations and intervene on specific issues or urgent situations. They are to recommend effective strategies to better protect human rights. Madam Chair, I'm calling on this board to do the right thing and to heed the warnings of Special Rapporteur Al Salem. Our girls deserve safety, fairness, and equal opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for clarification? Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. Okay. Thank you. We're going to move on with new business. We have several policies that have been vetted through the policy committee and are being brought forward for approval tonight. Do we have a motion? Trustee Sipcar? Want to do more than L1? Okay, what's your pleasure?
I would move L1 through L5.
Okay, the motion to move L1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, seconded by Trustee Cook. Questions on any of them? Let me ask first. I'll go one by one. Questions on L1? No. L2? Well, just a comment. That one was hard to follow with all the crossing out. It was hard to read. Maybe when there's that much change, we could get a clean copy, maybe, if you do that again.
Sure. I can just make a quick comment on it.
Sure.
That one was a more of a complete overhaul. I think it
Yeah.
was more of a from the ground up kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate the work from administration on it. I think it's a really solid policy.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, we can, for purposes of reading, we can do a cleaner version of it.
Thank you. L3, any questions? L4, any questions? L5, any questions? Nope. Seeing none, then I'm going to call the vote. All those in support, L1 through L5. Any none opposed, that's carried. Thank you very much. L6 is a notice of motion. Someone like to put the L6 forward. Trustee Cook. Do we have a seconder? Trustee Buckler. Do you like to speak first, Trustee Cook, on your motion?
Sure. So I think it's time that we move forward with this. I'm pretty sure that we're the only board in Ontario that does still have a speakers list. And I think that what we need to do is we need to remember that this is a business meeting that's held in public. It's not a public meeting with an open mic. I think it's time that we get back to focusing on what we're here to do, and that's student success, and get back on track and do what we're supposed to be doing without some negativity coming in. There are multiple ways for parents to share their concerns, such as calling the classroom, talking to the subject teacher, the principal, superintendent, director of education, or trustees. And if you're not a parent of a child in our public school board, you can also contact the principal, board administration, director of education. You can engage with trustees And you can also contact the Ontario Ombudsman. And that's all I have to say. I think it's time for us to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? Would like to speak? No? No one wants to speak, then I'm going to call for the vote. It requires 2/3, so we need 5 votes. All those in support, please keep your hands up so I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have enough. The motion's passed. Thank you very much. Opposed, but they won't be recorded. It's not a recorded vote, but opposed. Yeah, opposed. Thank you. 1 opposed. Move on to reports to be received. The first M1 is report of the Director of Education.
Thank you. Hard to believe we're already at the middle of October. And I hope everybody had a chance to recharge and spend some quality time with family and friends over this past long weekend. As we enter into the second month of school already, it's been wonderful to see our schools coming to life with activities like the Terry Fox Walk, Senior Sunrise Morning, which, let's be honest, it's really difficult to get students up in the morning sometimes. So that's quite an accomplishment to actually get teens up early. And Spirit Days that showcase school spirit and school unity. As we reflect on the strength of unity and the incredible power of our community, we're truly honored to be part of a momentous announcement this morning. Hopefully, well, we wouldn't have seen it on the news because we were here, but hopefully you can catch it on the 11 o'clock news or some snippets tomorrow. Immense gratitude to this morning. We joined Stellantis and the local 444 Unifor in celebrating the United Ways Ignite Academy, which received a remarkable donation of $746,756.24. Unbelievable, the largest ever. It was presented by Dave Belair, the Windsor Assembly Plant Manager. A heartfelt event took place at General Brock Public School this morning as a proud participant in the Ignite Academy program. The donation represents the largest contribution that's ever been given to the United Way in Windsor-Essex region, and that's strictly a donation from all of the employees at Stellantis off of their regular paychecks giving towards this program. It provides crucial supports for our youth in terms of mentoring, access to technology, academic assistance, mental health counseling, and food bank resources for the thousands of individuals within our community. And today we're building a brighter future for our children, and for that we're truly grateful to Stellantis, to United Way, and to Local 444. They actually had 2 minivans full of additional stuff on top of the $750,000 they donated of backpacks and soccer balls and food and juice and everything you can imagine, and hula hoops. And immediately some of the students took the hula hoops out of the back of the van and started doing hula hoops. I challenged Local 444 to a hula hoop competition, but they declined. Beacon Heights community recently came together for our open house, which was filled with pride, laughter, and joy. Our families toured the new school, enjoying performance by our student choirs and connecting with the parents. Special guests included MPP Andrew Dowie, Trustee Connie Buckler, and Chair Gail Hatfield, our Deputy Mayor Joe Bacchetti, and several of the superintendents were in attendance. A congratulation goes out to Principal Rob Romano and Vice Principal Dana Ballestrini and the staff for creating such a warm, welcoming environment that symbolizes new beginnings for the students. The little student choirs were just absolutely amazing when they sang for us. In recognition of Women's History Month, we celebrate Chantel Browning Morgan. She's an English as a second language teacher at Kennedy Collegiate Institute, and she was recently named one of the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women for 2024. With over 20 years of experience, Chantel is a passionate educator, a historian, an advocate for Black Canadian history. She's actively involved in numerous community organizations and initiatives, and her work continues to elevate the voices of Black Canadians and preserve the heritage. In an effort to highlight the pathways of our specialist high skills major students, we are excited to launch a new initiative that's called the SHSM Student Spotlight. Each month will feature a secondary student in an HSSM program who's been nominated for their work and their experience across a variety of different industries, including arts and culture, business, construction, cosmetology, and many more. This month's spotlight shines on Lindsay Styler, a passionate arts and culture student from Bell River District High School. Through the Specialist High Skills Major program, Lindsay has gained invaluable hands-on experience, including cooperative education placements and certifications that are preparing her for a successful career in the arts. Her story exemplifies how the program opens doors for students to follow their passion and career aspirations. If you visit on our website, our news and events section to learn more about Lindsay's experience and the Arts Council Windsor and within the region. GECDSB is delighted to highlight the impact of meaningful community connections. Recently, the students and staff at Gore Hill Public School had the privilege of receiving a generous donation from Gerald Simpson and the Whiteneck families. Their thoughtful gift of chrysanthemum plants, along with pumpkins and maize, has brought a beautiful and vibrant touch to the school's front entrance. A thank you to the families for their kindness and for helping to make Gore Hill an even more welcoming environment for our students, staff, and the visitors alike. On October 7th, Manufacturing Day took place across Windsor, Essex, a North American initiative designed to inspire our next generation of manufacturers, provide students with the opportunity to explore career options within the industry. Locally organized by Workforce Windsor Essex, Invest Windsor Essex, and the Canadian Association of Mold Makers, this event welcomed over 1,200 students, including many from Greater Essex schools such as Herman, Sandwich, and Riverside. Our students toured local manufacturing facilities, engaged with industry professionals, gained hands-on experience, and learned about the diverse career pathways available in the manufacturing sector, and we're thrilled to have them participate in such an impactful community event. As we move forward through October, there's many more exciting events and activities on the horizon. We look forward to celebrating Halloween festivities and participating in various school spirit events and bring our communities together. As November nears, we look forward to Veterans Week, Indigenous Veterans Day, and Remembrance Day, occasions where we will honor and remember those who have served our country. We also look forward to our continued growth and achievement of our students and our staff, along with our ongoing commitment to fostering a supportive and inclusive environment across the Greater Essex. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. As usual, another busy month. Mhm. The next report is from our OPSPA director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick update. We had a Board of Directors meeting September 27th and 28th. The meeting opened with actually a presentation from AMO, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, on their Healthy Democracy project. They are the OPSPA president and executive director are trying to build a relationship to understand some of the impacts of a decline in participation on local governments, and it was a really interesting research project that they're undertaking and wanting to engage trustees in. To piggyback off of that, it is Local Government Week coming up next week, the 21st to the 25th, which OBSPA will be participating in. They're going to be advocating, and they wanted to just encourage trustees to set up visits, whether in person or virtual, with grade 5 and 10 classrooms during that week, which is reminding me I have to respond to the email to confirm one for next week. But if you have any schools in your area or if principals have reached out, please do, because I do think it is important to discuss the role of a trustee, especially within our schools. I'll end by saying that our the other big item of discussion was the education finance item on the agenda, discussing how the school boards across the province are operating under this new core education funding model. To kind of remind everyone, it drastically reduced the number of envelopes, so to speak. So the model simplifies the grants from 18 to 6, and then allocations from 77 to 26, which I know, or 28, which I know is not news to Superintendent Armstrong, but I think it's important to remember that there was a consolidation among funding envelopes as we move forward in our own budgeting process. I think what was particularly interesting was across the province, there were 31 boards who were in a deficit position and totaling over $200 million. There were 26 in a surplus position of only $11 million, and then 15 were balanced. A couple of boards noted that that it was a real challenge, and many boards were struggling to balance their budgets this year, including our own. And so OPSPA is participating in a number of consultations and doing advocacy around funding, as it's important to note that the per pupil funding has gone down, even taking into consideration inflation. So it was, again, that was a main item of discussion as boards shared some of their struggles across the province. I will end it there, and I will forward the summary to all the trustees after the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the report? No, thank you. I just have a very quick report, because by the time it gets to me on the agenda, either the director's already covered all the nice things, or our OPSPA delegate has reminded us of all the good stuff coming from OPSPA. We do get news every week from OPSPA, either direct emails or the media service. I did want to mention that this year, more than ever, the past couple months, I have been getting calls from other chairs across the province dealing with issues, and especially budgets. And this year I actually got a call from our new president, OPSPA president, and had a good talk with her. Nothing specific, but she was kind of reaching out to me and my years of experience and some of the things that have changed over the years and some of the new challenges that we're dealing with. So it was good that we've got that line of communication now set up between the two of us. She shared with me her direct cell phone number, so that's I thought was very positive. And I just wanted to mention, I was at Beacon Heights for the grand opening, which was awesome. But I also wanted to mention that Scott Scantlebury was there, and that was his last day of work with our board. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. And he's been here a good number of years, couple decades, and he'll be missed, but he's been doing a lot of golfing and plans on doing a lot more. So he's a happy camper so far in his retirement, and I just want to wish him well on behalf of all the trustees. And that's all I have for my report. Trustee question period. Do we have any questions for this meeting? Seeing none. Any notices of motion? Nope, seeing none. Any announcements for this meeting? Trustee Leclerc and Trustee McKinley.
Two minor announcements. Our next meeting is November 5th. I won't be in attendance on November 5th. And given that that's the closest meeting to November 11th, I wanted to formally go on record of saying thank you to our veterans that have served our country in the various wars. Their efforts very much appreciated, and I have a lot of respect for anybody who put themselves in that situation of having to defend our country. And on a much lighter note, I appreciate Director Houston pointing out that October 25th is Dress Purple Day, because I like purple. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee McKinley?
Yes. As we're creeping into November, before we know it, it'll be here. I just want to announce that 6 of the South Windsor schools, Talbot Trail, Bellwood, Glenwood, Southwood, Central, and McWilliam, will be participating in the 22nd Cereal Box Challenge. Can't believe it's been that many years. And that will run from November 1st to the 22nd. And while the students are collecting at their various schools, I like to throw down the challenge to the director and our board admin building to do the same to support the Goodfellows next door.
I bet you that challenge has been accepted. They always.
Department wins.
Yes, it's very competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other announcements? No. Seeing none, then we've reached the end of our approved agenda, so I will declare the meeting adjourned at 8:05.